Welcome back. We're joined in the studio with Alex Jones, and he's going to give us his take on today's events. Now, things are changing as we go along, and the details are going to change. They've just dropped the search for the second shooter. But as we mentioned earlier today, even though rifles are only used in 2.5% of all the crimes, and it's not even clear, that's all rifles. It's not even clear what percentage AR-15s are of that. They're already focused on AR-15s. What do you think about that, Alex?
Well, this is very clear why they're doing it. It's because it is the militia assault rifle to defend ourselves against a tyrannical invasion or a occupational government. And it's very, very simple. They want to go after arms that could be used to protect yourself from corrupt infantry. And it's also a weapon that's very easily used by the general public. Joe Biden says go get a shotgun and fire it off your front porch. That's a felony randomly. He says, but don't get an AR-15 or M4 because it's so easy to use and so effective. But the big issue here tonight is the mass hoax that gun crime is up. We have a story on INFOWARS.com where the top comment of tens of thousands on the CNN website is someone saying it's time to elect Hillary Clinton and ban all the guns. And the handle is elect Hillary Clinton 2016. So this is the type of garbage that we're dealing with. Meanwhile, even the LA Times and Forbes have reported that since 1992 to 2011, the latest gun numbers, there's been a 49% drop in overall gun crime, as high as a 75% drop in general violent crime. So there has been a massive, massive, massive drop in crime. We have the maps where gun ownership has exploded and where concealed carries come in. You have just seen massive drops in crime. And that's a fact versus the perception that the LA Times breaks down in national studies that gun crime or crimes where guns are used is at epic levels. I mean, you would believe, I've likened it to when Jaws came out in the early 70s. For several years, they saw upwards of 50% reduction, especially on the East Coast. People thought it was real, even though it was fiction, that on the East Coast, up in Nantucket and other areas, that giant great white sharks were eating everybody. The truth is there's about 5 great white shark deaths a year on average globally, but my wife will not go past her ankles in the ocean because she's afraid of sharks. Most people I know are scared and won't go out and won't go scuba diving because they're afraid of sharks. Even though there are about 5 great white deaths a year, maybe 25 to 30, depending on if you count tiger sharks, makos, and some of the other sharks that occasionally attack people. I mean, you've got a better chance of being struck by lightning 3 times than you do in some statistical analysis by a great white shark. Believe it or not, people sometimes get struck multiple times the same day if there's a bad lightning storm as they're getting towards their car trying to get away. So this is just some of the information out there that the public is not aware of because they're just being propagandized. This is mind control. If you have over 150,000 people killed since the globalists launched the al-Qaeda attacks almost 3 years ago in Syria, they're chopping off Christians' heads, they're blowing up churches en masse. 2 million Christians have fled Syria in just the last 2.5 years. But, oh, they're not personalizing their deaths. They're only personalizing the 12 dead, 15 injured. And the Daily Mail and others are already saying, revealed, gunman 34, Aaron Alexis, who murdered 12 people. And so is other media here in the U.S., not just in England. We don't know if this guy's a patsy. We don't know if this was a false flag. May not have been. But if we have a government that's been caught doing it before, and if it's an Operation Northwoods, how to stage shootings at military bases and blame patsies, that's declassified 2001, early 2001. If we have Hitler staging mass shootings at military bases to start World War II, an Operation Himmler, then the public has got to look at this and say, have they lied about WMDs? If the rebels clearly staged the chemical attack that killed hundreds of people. You know, the media says I'm saying a chemical attack didn't happen. No. I said day one, the rebels uploaded videos of them doing it and bragged like they did the 2 previous times. So there's also a lot of straw man stuff going on. Media Matters came out, run by the White House, and said that I basically, believe this is already a false flag. No, I didn't believe that Boston was a false flag immediately until we learned there was a drill, Then they tried to cover it up. Then we learned the two brothers, one of them worked for the CIA, and then the whole connections, the background, all the other points, the drill with the operatives. Then you begin to see witnesses being executed. Then you see the motive. Then you understand what's happening. But separately, this could be some type of Islamic connection, but just like with the Major Hassan at Fort Hood, he killed 13 people. They said this is not terror-related because that was one of their wind-up toys that got out of control. It turned out the CIA was monitoring him for 2 years, talking to the head of al-Nusra, the leader of al-Qaeda, Ayman al-Zawahiri, coming out last week and saying, attack America, with things like mass shootings, bombings, you name it. I don't know if that's what's happened here. But in the cases I just said of the Fort Hood shooting, we know that he was in contact with this very gentleman for 2 years in emails, phone calls, and also Adam Gadon, the grandson of the ADL head, who's become the leader of al-Qaeda. Again, these guys are globalist operatives, but they're actually handling real extremists and mentally ill people. We don't know if that's the case yet. We're only speculating. It could have been he was mad that he was kicked out of the Navy, reportedly, a few years ago, and was dishonorably discharged. We don't know. This could be a going postal event. And if that's the case, again, I go back to the statistics. It's always in a gun-free zone.
Right.
You'd think a military base would be crawling with weapons. It's actually highly restricted who could have guns on those military bases. In
and
fact,
we had callers call in about that today.
That's right, and I looked into it. Some bases don't even allow the MPs to have loaded guns. They have to go back to barracks and check them out.
Wow.
And that was pretty much what happened at Fort Hood. So bottom line, this is an example, an exercise in mind control that the public, on average, believes that there's an epidemic of mass shootings and overall gun crime when it's the opposite. And if statistics continue to go like this and increased gun ownership happens, we're going to see in a few years a 75% or 80 or 90% reduction. The only places that have increasing crime are Chicago, New York, D.C., L.A., San Francisco, places that have draconian victim disarmament because only law-abiding citizens follow the law. And I know the viewers know this mainly, but it's up to us to get the statistics, the numbers we just showed you, the LA Times admitting it, and get it out to everybody you know. Because there's an info war happening right now, and we barely beat them restricting our guns and shutting down private transfers and things with the whole Sandy Hook debacle. Again, somebody that tried to get guns 5 times and finally was able to get them illegally. They're coming, folks. They're coming. Obama launched a new gun control thing Sunday on Meet the Press with Stephanopoulos. So now they're coming. This is another big push. It's on. They're not going to quit. And it may be in the cards that they're going to stage some more stuff and blame it on patriot groups. They're going to come through this suspect who's now been shot and killed, Aaron Alexis's computer. You can bet, if you ever visited INFOWARS.com, which millions of people do a day, that we're going to be blamed for it. Just like MSNBC a month ago said, Alex Jones and libertarians are behind the Boston bombing. Mm-hmm. No proof. Mm-hmm. He reportedly picked up one of the brothers a free magazine in town that's kind of libertarian. Well, that's the proof. That was found at his house. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like if you find a pool magazine that's mailed to my house. It doesn't matter that I don't have a pool.
Right.
That means I've murdered my wife in the pool.
That's right.
Even though she's not dead and I don't have a pool. It's like incredible witch hunt, guilt by association they're engaged in. Now, in fairness, the family said the brothers were listeners, and maybe that's why they decided to burn them, because the older brother was in a program to infiltrate radical groups. He was funded by Georgetown University in a program CIA funded to go to the Caucasus. And he had a fake name they allowed him to travel on. Rush had blown his cover 3 years ago saying, hey, this guy an agent, this guy a spy. Those are the type of cutouts they used. Did this young man, this 34-year-old person, Aaron Alexis, did he take part in a drill? They're having drills all over the East Coast right now. And then suddenly he's shot in the real drill. They said he kept shooting at people and then nothing would happen. And it was like, man, he was a horrible, horrible shot, it seemed like. They also told people in the cafeteria where he was supposedly shooting from above, they told him, stay in place, don't run. Witnesses said that, but they followed their instincts and got out alive. So this could be a going postal event because he was dishonorably discharged. Mm-hmm. This could be in my gut. Could be that, could be a Muslim wind-up toy, Muslim extremist. We don't know. But regardless, statistically, we're more safe because of guns, not less safe. That's a fact. That's not my opinion, but all over TV, it's, will you finally let us take the guns? Well, sorry, it's a military base where he got through with a fake ID pass, they claim, and they started shooting people like fish in a barrel. So it doesn't jive. It's in a city that has total disarmament for the citizens. It's on a military base within another ring of security. And the answer is the only way to have the lowest level of loss when a crazy guy goes off the rails is to have the largest number trained in the use of firearms, because wherever firearms are, there is liberty, as George Washington said. I want to give you the closing comments in the 3 minutes we've got left. David Knight here tonight, breaking this down.
Well, I thought it was interesting that one of the first persons to come out and say, we've got to renew the gun control legislation again was, of course, Dianne Feinstein. And you can reliably count on Feinstein and Schumer to always be there against the Second Amendment. And they were the ones last week we were talking about coming after the First Amendment.
And they've supported the fairness doctrine in the past to shut down talk radio.
Oh, absolutely. So
and
now
the
they want a
idiot
license.
media is asking, why is Drudge upset about this when it takes the press freedom from everybody else and only gives it to select lapdogs? And then they call that defending free speech. Go ahead.
Well, and you talk about the AR-15 being something that they're focused on because it's such an effective weapon. The internet is what they're focused on, because as far as the First Amendment and free speech goes, that is the AR-15 of the First Amendment, is the internet. So they want to shut that down however they can, whether they can use some kind of corporate fascism like that we saw with CISPA and SOPA, where they use copyright claims to take down people's websites.
That's what Verizon says they want.
Exactly. And that was, we subsequently learned that they're turning over all this information to the government anyway, that really CISPA and these other pieces of legislation are just to give protection to these companies that are being both coerced by the NSA and also paid by the NSA to turn this information over. But the point being is that for the people who want to jump on this gun control bandwagon, people who consider themselves to be leftists or Democrats or whatever, they need to look at this and understand that the real division here is between the authoritarians who are always after your internet freedom, always after your free speech, always after your guns.
In the bedroom under Obamacare.
Exactly. They want to control everything about you, and that includes your ability to defend yourself.
So it's authoritarians versus libertarians, as you and others have been saying.
Yeah.
And we need to hang loose together. They're going to say it's a satanic hand sign. It just means let's go surfing. We need to surf the internet to defeat this new tyranny, because here's the bottom line, folks. The fight is coming for your guns, your free speech, your medical records, what's going on in your bedroom. We get these 500 question surveys here saying we'll arrest you if you don't answer them. There's no law behind that. And that you don't tell them who you have sex with, or if you're a virgin, or if you're married, or you're gay, or whatever it is. That is your business, ladies and gentlemen. And it's now time to realize that all of this is going on. And you were on target during the news. I watched it earlier before I came in here, David, about all the things we're facing. Finish up those points.
Well, that's just it, Alex. People need to understand that it's the people who are pushing for war, it's the people who are pushing for gun control, who are pushing for authoritarian control of the internet, stopping free speech, spying on everyone about everything. So it's a consistency that you see now developing.
They're attacking every sector of freedom.
Absolutely. Whether they're Democrats or whether they're Republicans, they're still coming after every bit of your freedom. It's always after your liberty. That's where it breaks down. People need to stop aligning themselves with Dianne Feinstein. They need to see the bigger picture about where guns fit in.
Absolutely. This woman has bodyguards. This woman is a predator who simply wants to disarm the people. And now is the time that the sleeping giant awaken. Right now, folks, they're moving on every front because they know you are waking up. Take this video off prisonplanet.tv and the Nightly News. Get out to everyone you know. If you have a membership, 11 people can share it. Give it to friends and family. Tell them, tune in live at 7 o'clock every night when the show premieres. Go to INFOWARS.com. Go to Real Alex Jones. Follow us on Twitter. We are putting up the greatest defense we can for liberty, and it's having an effect because of your support. We don't take your money like NPR via taxes or MSNBC. We're funded by patriots like you.
Absolutely. If you want to know what's going on, if you want authentic stories, if you want the true story about what's happening, tune in tomorrow night at 7 Central, 8 p.m. Eastern to INFOWARS Nightly News.
Now you can watch Alex Jones live at INFOWARS.com/show.
You'll find links to all of our content there and a free 15-day trial for Prison Planet TV.
You can also browse the network, the InfoWars Nightly News,
and over 60 movies and documentaries all together in one place.
You can watch the Alex Jones radio show live as it happens.
So check it out, INFOWARS.com/show.